Right now, it's all about knocking this fire down. Look at this. It is absolutely incredible. This is by far the biggest fire I have ever seen. Look to the left over here. You can see the water is coming down. Look how high that ladder is. They're trying so hard to put this fire out. It's been burning for 30 plus minutes, I would say. Look at all that smoke, flames everywhere. I'm counting at least 20 fire crews on here, most likely more. We've seen firefighters running in and around trying to bring this fire down. It is just incredible.
I don't know if you guys can see it in this picture that you're looking at right now, but just from the interstate while my photographer and I were driving down here, I mean, it is continuing to flame. And it's so dangerous that we're hearing that they're not letting firefighters inside out of fear of this structure collapsing. Again, very, very dangerous. 15 engines, 5 to 6 ladders, 10 chiefs, and so much more.
It is a loud scene here outside the courthouse downtown. Look at all of these people. These are supporters of Marissa Alexander coming from all across the country. A bus dropped some of them off from Miami. A lot of them are from right here in Jacksonville.
Marissa Alexander is just walking out of the courtroom. I want you to see her here. Marissa, how are things?
Have passed since. The events of August 1st, 2010. But today, after the sentence imposed by Judge Daniel, my family and I will be able to move forward with our lives. Although the journey has been long and there have been many difficult moments, I could not have arrived here and where I am today without the many thoughts and many prayers of so many people who have voiced their support and encouragement.
I want to take you now to a live picture. This will show you the car that he was originally in, where his mother's boyfriend left him in this car. It was found not even a mile away from the apartment complex.
Officers tell us that a car was stolen with them inside. It was a Honda. When they found that vehicle, the boy was not there. So take a look at this picture. An Amber Alert was just issued minutes ago for Lonzy Barton. He was last seen only wearing a diaper. He's 22 months old, has blonde hair, a small child weighing only 20 pounds. Yeah, we were waiting for this news conference about this 21-month-old missing boy. His name is Lonzy Barton, and we're getting some new information right now.
Here's Chief Tom Hackney. Called out to the Ravenwood Apartments out here on the 8090 block of Kings Road in reference to a stolen car. As the complainant on the call was talking to dispatchers, he let out that his child, or the child he was taking care of, was in the car. Officers arrived on the scene within 2 minutes of the call going out.
Let's bring in now our News for Jax crime and safety analyst, Gil Smith, who's just arrived on the scene. Gil, what do you make of all this?
Yeah, it's a very frightening situation. And like you said, there's so many different areas that it could go in. Did the child get out? Did the person take the child with them? Is the child in one of the residents here on the scene?
I want to step out of the way and show you what's happening right now. We're in the Separate East Avenue area. We can see just how many investigators are here on the scene.
Search your backyards, look in your pools, look in your sheds, do everything you can to find this young man. He wants the picture to continue to be out there on the news, on social media, everything people can do to keep an eye out, because as he said, this boy's got to be somewhere. He had to have gone somewhere. They are still treating this as an abduction. They are still treating this as if the boy is alive.
At this point, we don't know how badly the students have been hurt, but we do know they were shot.
The scene is at 118th and Blanding on the west side. We don't know the school the students were traveling from, but we are told, again, the bus serves our alternative schools in Duval County, 2 in Northwest Jacksonville and 1 in Springfield. A viewer sent us photos from the scene as well. You can see right there. We know it's bus 915. See it there in the intersection of 118th and Blanding. Francesca Amaker just got to the scene, and she's joining us now live. Francesca.
Tom and Mary, this scene is very, very frantic right now. Lots of commotion with detectives still speaking to students and parents about what happened here. And in just a few minutes, we should be briefed by JSO, who has not yet confirmed that those 2 students have been shot. But again, we're hearing that 2 students have been shot by multiple sources on this school bus.
The witness who is joining us now on the phone, her name is Kristen.
I talked to one of the kids, and they said a guy just walked by and shot up the bus, and it hit the girl, the one that I seen them putting in the stretcher, and apparently there was another person, but I don't know much about that one.
This is obviously a very upsetting situation for parents who are just arriving to the scene, trying to figure out what has happened on this bus and if their children are okay. I am being joined by News4JAX crime and safety analyst Gil Smith. These kids are most likely still here being questioned by authorities. What do you think they are being questioned about? What are some of the things that officers may be asking them?
They're just going to ask them what they saw, what happened, try to get a description of the person they saw, and just describe everything that happened from the time the person got on the bus and the whole scene as much as possible.
You see a lot of parents kind of over there by this other bus. That's where they are gathering. And one woman, as I was over there trying to talk to her, just in tears, saying that she is directly connected to this. And I asked her if her child is okay. She says now he is, just too distraught to speak with me.
It's unknown as to the relationship between the suspects and the victims at this point. The suspects were said to be 2 black males, possibly in their late teens, one without a shirt. We're currently searching the neighborhood for them now.
Now, this is the area where Superintendent Beatty is speaking with parents right now, trying to console them. He's also meeting with detectives, getting more information on the description of those 2 men who are now at large near this area.
Sickened by the fact that our children can't be children, that students can't be students, and when we think of a school bus, it symbolizes the innocence of youth and the potential of children. And to think that our own children in Jacksonville cannot ride a school bus home with something this horrific not happening is again another example that violence is run rampant in Jacksonville, in our community.
Jacksonville Fire Rescue Department now confirming for us that 3 people have died in a wreck that happened. You're looking live right now through our DOT camera where you can see that traffic on the right there is not moving.
That accident happened right here in this direction. We can see that there aren't many cars in this direction, but if we zoom in and show you where the accident happened, you can see that crews are still on the scene there.
What you're looking at now is video that was sent in by one of you, our viewers, who were traveling over the Buckman Bridge as this accident happened. There you can see the car on fire in the southbound lanes. This is what viewers and drivers were seeing as they passed by on the northbound side.
This is where they've stopped it right here, just south of US 17, down in the distance is where they are working this crash.
From where I'm standing, however, traffic is backed up behind me at least 3 miles. You can expect delays up to Wilson Boulevard, and it is getting worse as time goes on.
Picture after picture after picture, all obtained by News4JAX, show a violation. Several workers with Floaters Portable Sanitation offloading sewage from their trucks and porta potties through a hose into this dump station they weren't permitted to use on this downtown Jacksonville property. Our source even followed one of the company's trucks through downtown Jacksonville to the lot in question off Adams Street in Talleyrand. Just stop. You can see another truck then parked with porta potties labeled with the Floaters Company logo in tow. It's the same spot our source's hidden cameras captured Floaters employees taking steps to offload the septic holding tank waste down that drain more than a dozen other times. The hidden camera timestamps show different trucks arriving on 7 different days over 2 weeks in July and August, some even coming before dawn. Our News4JAX investigation into complaints of deplorable conditions at the Eureka Gardens apartments is now in its 2nd week. From allegations of mold, mildew, peeling paint, shoddy repairs, and leaking air conditioning units. Our cameras found leaking units hanging off of window after window today. Residents maintain these units are contributing to the mold.
The News4JAX investigators started looking into complaints last week when tenants called our newsroom for help. Our reporters have been following the inspection, the political fallout, and talking with residents about their predicament. We begin with News4JAX investigator Lindsay Gardner, live from the Operations Command Center at the complex. Lindsay?
Tom, I have just gotten word from my sources that inspectors are still inside one unit tonight at Eureka Gardens investigating a possible natural gas leak that they found in the ground that could be spreading to one of the units. We also know day 2 of this sweep will begin right here at this command center first thing Monday morning. This is where we saw city officials, the fire marshal's office, as well as code inspectors and city council members all arrive at dawn to begin this two-day operation at Eureka Gardens here this morning. And Mayor Curry tells us this all began because one woman was brave enough to speak out. It's the same woman who called News 4 Jax last week looking for help. Arm in arm with Jacksonville Mayor Lenny Curry. It's not a position Tracy Grant pictured herself in just days ago when this mother and grandmother were showing our cameras what she says is mold in her kitchen, her bathroom, and on her floor. Then she called us again this week when she said property management was trying to cover it up by painting over it.
People are being treated like animals, and they treat animals way better than this.
She helped to organize the effort and even wrote a complaint, then sent to HUD and the mayor's office on Tuesday.
The city of Jacksonville is here today. Members of council are here today because this courageous woman shined a bright light on what many of us did not know was happening and going on.
She watched in disbelief as 60 city officials, including code enforcement and fire marshals, went door to door on Friday.
Fire marshal's office.
They vow they will go inside every unit over 2 days to make sure they are up to code. If not, citations will be written. We were there when 2 fire marshals found 3 violations at their very first building inspection of the morning, including a faulty fire alarm, a hole in these stairs, even the smell of gas. By noon, this one team of inspectors told me already there were too many violations to count. The sweep reached a boiling point when council members saw enough and called the mayor to come and see firsthand what was behind closed doors.
Heartbreaking. Adults shouldn't have to live like this. There's children living under some of these conditions. Some of the mold that I saw and experienced, and I can still feel some of it when I breathe just from a few minutes ago.
Now the millionaire pastor who owns the Eureka Gardens apartment complex is taking more heat for investing more than $1 million in a Christian retreat center.
News 4 Jax investigator Tarek Miner traveled to Memphis and learned Reverend Richard Hamlet's foundation, Global Ministries, purchased a $1.25 million satellite campus earlier this year to expand his ministry, while hundreds of his Section 8 tenants continue to live in squalor.
Hidden behind this gated entrance is what some call a pastor's paradise on 18 acres of land. News 4 Jax has confirmed Richard Hamlet's Global Ministries Foundation paid $1.25 million just 9 months ago for this satellite campus called the Stephen Olford Center. It's a facility the pastor says is designed to teach men and women how to preach. We took the concerns of these residents to Reverend Richard Hamlet's foundation office.
Gentlemen,
Mr. Hamlet, how are you,
come on into this house.
Where Hamlet agreed to sit down with me.
Why not take that $1.5 million that you put into the Alford Center and put those into those properties?
Well, those are 2 different business plans. The Alford Center, we have donors that give to our foundation for specific ministry projects, and we work in 30 countries around the world.
Hamlet says his housing projects are a sustainable business and his ministry a separate entity within his business model. He says he made substantial improvements at his 3 troubled apartment complexes, evacuating 45 families out of their homes because of the poor conditions, and then moving them back in after the repairs were made earlier this year. But residents say the Reverend is blatantly neglecting the needs of the poor.
When you see some of the conditions that the people live in, how does that affect you?
It bothers me. My heart is to come and help those who are who need to be empowered, and those who are the disadvantaged. Excuse me. I mean, this is impromptu, but that's my mission. I want to build bridges to help those who are the least and the disadvantaged.
He's a criminal. He's a criminal masquerading as a man of God, and he's doing it with public money.
he is taking advantage of people in the most vulnerable of circumstances and retaliated against people who complain.
From Channel 4, the local station, this is an Election 2015 special. Jacksonville's mayoral debate. Who will run the city of nearly 1 million people for the next 4 years? Will it be the current mayor or one of his 3 challengers, a former Republican Party leader, a member of the city council, or a local entrepreneur? The frontrunners are locked in a bitter battle of negative campaign ads.
More cops, more crime, less safety for Jacksonville families.
Lenny Curry, a negative campaign. He always puts politics first. Tonight, we hear from the candidates about the top issues facing the city, like reducing crime and making communities safer, unlocking the potential of downtown Jacksonville, and solving the city's looming pension crisis. Voters go to the polls in a few days. Tonight's your chance to get informed. Now, from the campus of Jacksonville University, your moderator, Channel 4's Kent Justice.
From Channel 4, the local station, this is live coverage of the St. Augustine's 450th celebration. It's a place where roots run deep, centuries of history, part of the fabric of the community. Iconic landmarks known around the world and stories that span oceans.
To me, it's amazing what Menendez did.
4.5 centuries ago, Pedro Menendez came ashore, opening the first chapter in St. Augustine's history. A story that's as much about faith as it is about the founding of a city.
Pedro Menendez stepped forward and kissed a cross that Father Lopez held.
The church brought stability, brought certainly morals, and made the community, it made it a very stable community.
A story of struggles and moments that helped shape our nation's history. Now, a step back in time, retracing the start of the journey that's been 450 years in the making.
And you're looking live out from the grounds of the Mission Nombre de Dios in St. Augustine, the place where Pedro Menendez landed 450 years ago, and the place where reenactors are going to land in just about 30 minutes from right now.
Good morning, everyone. Mary Bear here with Kent Justice, and what a spectacular morning. That was just incredible, seeing the giant cross there at the Nombre de Dios. And 450 years ago, this very day, September 8th, 1565, Pedro Menendez landed on this land and declared that St. Augustine was Spain's. And St. Augustine, the Diocese of St. Augustine today, is commemorating the founding of the nation's first Catholic parish.
The Jaguars gave us more reason to believe on Thursday night.
And from behind, he's taken down. And for the second straight year, the Caymans on a sack.
It ain't always pretty, but they count. A primetime win over the Titans has the Jags in position to make a playoff push.
I've been here 3 years, and I'm seeing it grow, baby. For real.
And the players can feel the momentum.
We're learning how to win.
Tonight, we talk with the quarterback as the Jags look for another victory to keep pace in the AFC South on Jaguars All Access.
This is Jaguars All Access.
The Jaguars at 4-6, now one game back in the AFC South. And tonight we'll talk about it on Jaguars All Access, live from the rooftop here at Black Sheep in 5 Points. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Jaguars All Access. Sam Kavaris and Jeff Lageman this week. And
celebrating everything we love about America. Family, food, freedom, and fireworks. Our 3 Oh Say Can You Sing finalists try to hit the right note, hoping to get your vote as the top voice in Jacksonville. Live from River City Brewing Company, Channel 4. The local station is proud to bring you Jacksonville Fireworks Spectacular.
And we are here ready to celebrate Jacksonville's fireworks. We have friends, family, everyone gathering here. A crowd at River City Brewing Company, right? We're getting ready to hear some beautiful music tonight, too.
We're going to hear some great music. We're going to have that stage you're looking at right there filled not just with Nikki Kimbleton, who you see, but some awesome contestants. And we're going to hear what you think about these finalists
tonight in our big contest.
Welcome to the Jacksonville Fireworks Spectacular. We are here for the next 2 hours. We're going to be bringing you the sights and sounds from all around Northeast Florida as we help you celebrate Independence Day.
Right now, we are less than 2 hours away from the fireworks in Jacksonville. We've got a countdown clock that we're going to let you monitor with us. An hour and 42 minutes and 20-some seconds because the fireworks are expected to go off at 9:45.
Yeah, we have a whole team bringing you all of the fun tonight, too. Rebecca Berry is out floating on the St. Johns River right behind us. She has probably the best seat in the house to watch tonight's fireworks, that's for sure.
If I had to describe Tom Wills in one word, I would say thorough.
Honest.
Fair.
Humble.
Inspiring. Good man. That's 2 words.
Kind. Professional.
A mentor.
Perfectionist.
Passionate. The word is genuine.
He is the real deal.
When people heard we were doing this special, they would come and ask me, so does this mean you're retiring? And my answer is no, it doesn't. No, I'm not retiring. In fact, as soon as the special is over, I'll be in the newsroom getting ready to do the next newscast, happily.
Channel 4, the local station, presents the Jacksonville International Auto Show, live from the Prime Osborne Convention Center.
When we were in Detroit, we had a chance to talk to some of these designers, the people that work in connectivity, to find out what's new and what's happening. The folks at Ford know that drivers are on the move, and that's the inspiration behind Sync 3, an entirely new interface with new hardware.
We teamed up with some of the most experienced deputies at the Bradford County Sheriff's Office. They put together 3 scenarios for us, scenarios taken from real-life events that happened on the streets of Bradford County.
News4JAX's Heather Lee and Vic Michelucci invited our crime and safety analyst, Gil Smith, who was an officer for nearly 3 decades, as well as local NAACP leader, Reverend Larry O'Hara.
The first scenario, a domestic disturbance.
Neighbor called in, said, that the neighbors are arguing.
Gil focused on the man outside, but ended up getting shot.
I know he doesn't have a weapon, then I'll go in and deal with her. Of course, I didn't have time for that.
Yeah. The woman inside also shot Larry and Heather.
And I was thinking about calling backup. I didn't get the opportunity before she shot me.
I was the only one who didn't get shot. I didn't fire either, but I'll admit I was close, especially when the man pulled a TV remote from his pocket.
Tonight, we're covering all the angles of this national story. We begin with Channel 4's Kumasi Aaron, who's joining us live from Charleston, a city in deep mourning.
There's an unfamiliar stillness here in front of Emmanuel AME Church as people came together in front of its steps. Some left flowers, others their tears, where 9 people lost their lives.
Just very overwhelming, very shocking, and hard to process or comprehend.
For Renata Early, it's a double loss. One of the victims, Susie Jackson, was her great aunt, and another victim, Tawanza Sanders, her cousin.
You just don't know how to deal with it. You don't know how to process it. You don't even think it's true. You don't even think, like, you want to know what type of person, what type of demented person would come into a church, a house of God, sit down, interact, and be accepted into the actual activities going on at the Bible study for an hour or so, and then get up and take the lives of 9 people.
Now she says it's more than her family members who were gone, but also her sense of security.
Joy Purdy, she's covering the search in Miami. Joy.
Good morning, Bruce and Jen. As we were coming here, we got word from the Coast Guard. I spoke with them over the phone. They are having their morning meeting right now, 8 a.m., where they're going over the information that has happened overnight, going over what may have been found out at sea by the Coast Guard cutters. And also, after I got off the phone with them, I got a text from one of my former co-anchors here in Miami that I worked with, and they said, take a look at the Miami Herald. So we pulled over, ran into a store, and I grabbed the Miami Herald here, and it says the headline, El Faro tried to outrace hurricane and failed. This article is so incredibly descriptive. I'm going to edit it for you as I read this one little section to you. It describes what Coast Guard crews found. It says the hull of the ship had so much styrofoam packing debris coming from it that a Coast Guard officer said the waters off the Bahamas resembled a golf course driving range dotted with balls. They have just had a huge debris field, 2 of them that they are looking at right now. I'm going to bend down and grab my notes that I was able to take on my way here. We understand that the Coast Guard cutters, there were 3 of them, as well as 3 tugboats that were working in shifts overnight. So they were out all night long searching the debris fields. There are 2 of them by the Crooked Island in the Bahamas.
Open the cargo ramp door.
Roger, ox pump coming on.
2 spotters looking out the back as the search for signs of El Faro or its crew pressed on another day. 2 more using radar and cameras on the flight.
Inside the wing on the co-pilot side, I think there's debris we just flew over.
And both the pilot and co-pilot looking below, as well as the C-130 flew 500 feet above the Atlantic at 145 knots for about 4 hours.
Anytime you're flying an airplane only 500 feet over the water, you obviously have to be very careful up front, just watching your instruments, making sure that you're not turning too sharp, descending accidentally, things like that.
Does it look like something sticking out of the water up over here to the left?
Yeah, shining at us.
Almost shining at us.
Whenever debris was spotted, the pilot always asked whether or not it could have been a survival suit or a person clinging to something.
Just past it. Looks like another, yeah, it's coming down left side, pilot side. Looks like another one of those like beam type objects.
But unfortunately, only containers and debris found by our crew. The crew out here on this C-130 today said they're proud not only of their crew today with the search that they put on, but the searches of all of the Coast Guard crews and other crews that have been out searching and trying to find answers for the families of those on El Faro. At Coast Guard Air Station Clearwater, I'm Chris Parento, Channel 4, the local station.
It's the largest independent film festival in the U.S. The Seal is known across the world. Sundance 2015 was packed with celebrities, movie executives, and famous filmmakers. On the main stage, 3.5 minutes, the documentary about the fatal shooting of Jordan Davis and the 2 trials for the teen's killer, Michael Dunn. This film, in a way, has been therapeutic for them because they say they are trying to make a difference and make sure that something like this never happens again. Ron Davis and Lucy McBath invited me on their journey for the film's premiere. We flew into Park City, Utah the night before. And they went right to work, spreading their message to the world.
God bless you all. God bless you.
The screening ended with a standing ovation.
Right now, our Take It to Heart event is underway.
But let me kind of take you through the stations that you will get to see when you do come to Take It to Heart. So this is the blood pressure station. And these are things that might be difficult for you to interpret. So that's why we have doctors here. We have added so many new elements this year, and here is one of them. This is one of the stretching classes that will be taking place every 45 minutes today until about noon. Joining me now, I have Maria, who has actually come to Take It to Heart before. This year you're back, and you brought your friend because her blood pressure, you know, she was having some problems, wasn't feeling well, and where is she now?
She's on her way to the hospital. The EMT had to take her. They're transporting her, so I'm not able to even finish my session.
We have video of her actually being wheeled away into the ambulance where these guys actually stabilized her, and then she eventually did go to the hospital because her blood pressure was so high. Chris, this is the second person that you guys have seen today, and the first woman you guys wanted to take, but she wouldn't let you. Talk to me about why it is so important that when the blood pressure is raised to that level that they do need to get emergency care.
Well, high blood pressure is indicative of a stroke, and
It can also cause other things like a heart attack.
We are live this morning at our Take It to Heart Day at the fairgrounds, and we are packed, inviting you to take this opportunity to find out very important health screenings specifically about your heart. And I want to show you the line.
It's a Positively Jax community event that you've been waiting for. The first of our 3 days of free shredding around Jacksonville so you can securely destroy documents and protect yourself from identity theft.
And you see here behind me, they have several trucks shredding all these documents, but there is so much traffic. At one point, it was backed up almost a mile onto Normandy. Kelly Gross was one of the many here with personal documents that she refused to throw in the trash.
I have 15 years of tax returns, bank statements, Visa bills, everything. I finally cleaned house, and it's been bags and bags in my closet.
Knowing all of that is now in tiny bits and pieces gives her and Brenda peace of mind.
We just are so thankful for Wolfson. They've been such a wonderful support system for us, and I mean, really, they saved his life.
Wolfson's was certainly there to help us with speech and language pathology. They were there for every feeding, helping us learn how to feed our little girl and really be able to bond with her just as you would want to do with any other child.
Started a little bit after 8 o'clock. Cars have been moving. Trucks mostly have been moving. You can see them leaving here. These people just dropped off tires and illegal signs. And behind me is where things are really happening.
These experts are available to speak with you through our News4Jax phone bank. They'll be here until 7 this evening. Here are the phone numbers, 904-348-6022, or if you're calling from out of the area, 1-800-366-9598. Again, if you have questions about the Affordable Care Act, just give these volunteers a call between now and 7 o'clock.
This Channel 4 Toy Drive update is brought to you by Ace, the helpful place.
And we hope you're excited too when you come on by our studios at 4 Broadcast Place. This is what we're hoping you bring with you, a new unwrapped toy for a child in need. It can be for a child age 12 years old or younger. And all of these toys, so we've got much more inside the building, will be going to these children when we hand them out at the Children's Christmas Party at the Prime Osborne Convention Center. That happens on December 12th.
When TJ heard Gerald's bike had been stolen, this fourth grader put their playful rivalry aside.
I had $911 at Brentmart, but my teacher added some more because I've been doing good and all throughout the past few days.
TJ used good behavior at Brentwood Elementary to help buy the bike that he promised his best bud. And on Wednesday afternoon, TJ's surprise was revealed.
I said thank you, and I was keep saying it because I really miss my old bike, so I told him 3 times.
And Gerald's mother even broke into tears.
You hear about adults paying it for it, but not a 10-year-old child to a 7-year-old.
Gerald is now back in action, doing wheelies and tricks with TJ.
As people say they love their friends really much, I love this one very much.
The crowd cheered and screamed for each of these superstars as they came down the red carpet. When you walked in and everybody cheered for you, how did that make you feel?
It made me feel great. It just reminds me of the Oscars in Los Angeles.
And you look like a movie star tonight.
Well, thank you.
Do you feel like one?
Yes.
And just like the red carpets in Hollywood, they couldn't wait to talk about what they were wearing and how they looked.
My tuxedo is awesome because I got it from JCPenney, and they helped me pick it out.
I wore this at my prom in high school.
And you look gorgeous.
Thank you.
What do you think of all this glitter?
It's awesome.
Do you feel like a princess tonight? Because you look like one.
Yes, I do. I really feel like the queen.
This is a story that, in a sense, started in the 1930s. That's when 4 young men, barely friends at that point, from Fletcher and Lee high schools, started swimming. In fact, this is actual 8mm film of one of their tournaments.
I met Tiger for the first time when he and I swam in a Bowles high school meet.
But then they all spread out for college, from Gainesville to Annapolis.
I won the Southeastern Conference Championship in the 50 freestyle.
So I went swimming for the 4 years I was at Tech. I met John for the first time when I was swimming on the Duke swimming team, and we swam at the Navy. I haven't seen these things in years.
But then you know what happened? Life. As they all joined the military and started their careers and families, swimming was left in the past. But that first began to change in the 1970s when Tiger got some news.
I had a heart bypass operation about 40 years ago, and the doctor told me I better get into a regular exercise program.
So he took back to the water and never lost touch with John Corse. They started swimming again, and along the way connected with Bill Adams and Ed Graves around 2006 or 2007. And then something very interesting began. These men who qualified for AARP benefits when Carter was president started competing. You guys hold a world record, is that right?
2 of them.
What do you think of that?
It was our 15 minutes of fame.
And they just continued winning a lot. So they weren't all 90. You've got Bill Adams, he's only 88. Then you've got John Corse and Ed Graves, they're both 90. And you've got Tiger, he's the oldest at 93. That's why they hold the world record as the only combined team of age 360 to win any sort of swimming tournament.
Waiting was the hardest part. For 12 tense hours, Carter and Connor's parents sat in another room as a team of 17 doctors and nurses performed a surgery never done before in Jacksonville.
It's a very risky situation. I was scared, you know?
Then, finally, good news. Surgeons told their family the boys were separated, and it looked like they were going to be okay. The twins were born here in December, joined at the torso. Doctors told their parents separating them would probably be best. A surgical team spent 2 months prepping and put the babies under the knife on Thursday. For the first time ever, Carter and Connor are 2 separate kids sleeping in 2 separate cribs.
It's crazy. Every time I go in there, I'm like, I have to go in one room and then in another room.
And for the parents, it's been a long time coming. A very big surgery that's teaching them to appreciate the little things.
When I get my kids home, my first plan is get a life vest that's gonna fit them and put them on my boat. I want to take my boys fishing so bad, it's not even funny.
It's the picture that's taken a life of its own. It's all over the internet. One of the most famous memes of all time. Most know the boy as Success Kid, but his real name is Sammy, and he is from Jacksonville.
It was just a lucky shot, really.
Lainey Griner took the popular pic on Ponte Vedra Beach in 2007 when her son was just 11 months old.
Put him down in the sand, and he crawls around and then grabs a fistful of sand and goes to put it up towards his mouth, and I just snapped that shot at really the
Was he about to eat the sand?
He was about to eat a fistful of sand.
Within a year, it was huge on MySpace, then the blogosphere, and now Facebook and Twitter. Success Kid stands for all things motivational. But little did his family know one day it would save his dad's life. Flash forward to this year. His father, Justin, now going through kidney failure.
My mother had it, my uncle had it.
Doctors said he needed a transplant and put him on the list. So in April, they went to the internet and started a GoFundMe page to raise money.
She contacted a few websites that are big Success Kid fans and just kind of let them know that we were doing it if they wanted to maybe mention it.
And the World Wide Web did the rest.
The story kind of went viral in itself.
Fans from across the globe came up with the $75,000 goal and then some. Grand total, more than $100,000. Last month, Griner got the call he had been waiting for. A kidney was available. Hours later, he was here at Jacksonville's Mayo Clinic getting that transplant he so desperately needed. Surgery went well, and Dad's already doing so much better. So what about Success Kid? He still has that pose down pat.
And do you get to take art class at school?
Yeah.
But he's a little bigger now, almost 9 years old. Sammy's thrilled.
So Sam, I think this is your biggest success yet. You saved your dad's life.
Of course.
local station. News 4 Jax starts now.
New at 6, the father of the only suspect in Lonzie Barton's disappearance tells News 4 Jax his son has nothing to do with it.
He's not the monster that they're painting him out to be.
The 21-month-old boy now missing for 4 days. The police official leading the search blunt over his frustration with the man who last saw the child alive.
Reuben Ebron has the answers that we need. There are gaps in a timeline that only he can fill in.
More than 150 searchers on the ground, in the air, and in the water, desperately trying to get answers for the boy's family and for the community. It is now day 4 of the search for this 21-month-old boy. Police are using every available resource to try to find him.
More than a dozen agencies, including the FBI and law enforcement from as far away as Miami, are now helping Jacksonville police. The sheriff's office says they will continue to look for the child until they have no place left to search. No news briefing is planned for tonight unless there are new developments. And there's a photo showing Lonzie Barton with his mother and who we're told is his biological father, as well as 2 other children whose faces we have blurred there for their protection. This was posted on a Facebook page called Help Find Lonzie Barton that was created to help get the word out about the little boy. News 4 Jax has a team of reporters on this search bringing you every angle. We go live now, though, to Jim Piggott, who is live outside the jail downtown. Jim.
You know, we talked to his father today. He said he talked to his son here at the jail, and he told him that he didn't hurt Lonzie. Now, his father told me today that he believes him despite his criminal background.
He's not the monster that they're painting him out to be.
William Ebron is retired military and says he was a strict father. He's praying for his son and praying that Lonzie is found safe. I asked him about his son, Reuben.
Have you talked to him since he's been arrested?
Yes, I was there yesterday.
And what's he telling you, or can you tell us what he's telling you?
I asked him point blank certain things. Did he cause harm to this young boy? And he says no. I said, did you unintentionally hurt him or something and panic? He said no. He looked me in my eyes and said, Daddy, no. And I said, you need to be 100% truthful with detectives, with everyone, so that we can find this little boy.
William Ebron says he believes his son is telling the truth, but today police say there are major gaps in Reuben Ebron's story.
You know, I really wish I could believe him when he tells me that, or when he tells his father that, but I can't. I know the evidence. I know the facts that we're putting together now. There are pieces that are missing.
They just don't believe your son.
Right.
But you believe him.
I believe he would never do anything to intentionally hurt a child. And that is my belief, not only as a father, but as a person.
In researching Reuben Ebron's background, we learned about a history of domestic violence and even allegations of a death threat made to a young girl. I asked his father about that and the life his son has led.
When we look at the backgrounds and domestic violence and problems like that, do you see where people are getting this impression?
I understand all of it. I understand all of it. And he's had some problems in the past, making bad decisions. But as I said to anyone and everyone, I know he would never intentionally hurt a child. He loves kids. And he loves little Lonzie.
William Ebron says he told his son that if he knows anything, he better open his mouth and say so.
I'm just praying for the child. I mean, just like I told my son yesterday, I said, I can't do anything for your situation because he's got the child neglect. That is child neglect. And I said, you have to own up to that. You have to pay for that. I said, but I just hope and pray that this child is found alive. I hope and pray that he returned back to his mother.
Now, his father also told me that he met Lonzie once, and once again, he emphasized that his son told him that he loves Lonzie. We're live at the jail. Jim Piggott, Channel 4, the local station.
Besides what Jim learned about Ebron from Ebron's father, we're also learning more about him from court documents like these. His criminal record goes back to 2005 with several misdemeanor arrests over the following 5 years. Then in 2010, court records show he was found guilty of grand theft and spent 97 days in jail. In 2011, he pleaded no contest to a domestic battery charge and served 47 more days in jail. That same year, he was again found guilty of grand theft and sentenced to 165 days in jail, followed by 5 years probation. He violated that probation in 2012 and served an additional 210 days in jail. Currently, Ebron and Lonzie's mother, Lana Barton, are co-defendants on several drug charges from back in May in Baker County. Duval County court records show that this month, the sister of an ex-girlfriend of Ebron's filed for this injunction against him for stalking. This document says he threatened the life of a 12-year-old girl and left threatening phone messages. The injunction also says Ebron told his ex-girlfriend that he, quote, knows the system and can get away with anything.
Well, police have been relentless in 4 days of searching now. As we said, 200 people are taking part, and Channel 4's Vic Michelucci is joining us live from the South Side, where police have been focusing their latest efforts. Vic.
Search for these officers, Mary. More than 200 officers out here over the past couple of days, several hundred a day, a lot of detectives, a lot of K9 units, helicopters, dive team. You can see several of them are still here behind me. You can see there is a dive team boat. You've got a mobile command unit. You've got the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. You got Florida Fish and Wildlife on ATVs. And we also saw officers from as far as Miami-Dade Police Department up here in Jacksonville helping out. Now, I want to show you video of another scene. This scene really just started to see more police officers arrive in the past 20-30 minutes. This is south of the area where they are searching, south of the grid, but we are seeing more officers and more search crews going through this heavily wooded area. They really say they are not going to leave any stone unturned. They are going to hit every inch of grass, pond, everything out here, trying to find Lonzie, and the neighbors appreciate it.
This kid needs to come to justice. I mean, he wasn't asked to be put in this situation.
People who live and work in the area could only watch and wait. Pretty concerned about his safety by now.
Absolutely, that's awful. I mean, like, he's a baby. What is he going through?
They're waiting for answers about where Lonzie Barton is and what happened to him. Helicopters circled the south side for hours as police hoped to find something that would lead them to Lonzie. On the ground, hundreds of officers combed the woods and a dive team went underwater, searching the retention ponds.
As we search these retention ponds and can check them off a list, it's good in the fact that I know where he's not, and we're working through a list of where he's not. That's going to put us to where he could be.
Police say they will leave no stone unturned as they search for Lonzie and justice. But the man who they say saw him last, Ruben Ebron, isn't being cooperative. Police are holding him on child neglect charges, but now believe he's responsible for the boy's disappearance.
He has the right to not be left and thrown out as garbage.
Ebron was also watching Lonzie's 5-year-old sister while their mother was at work. The child protection team has been talking with her to find out what she knows.
She's as helpful as a 5-year-old can be.
This morning, police did make a discovery near a business park near Phillips Highway and I-295. Human remains in the woods. Detectives soon determined they were from an adult male and had been there for a year or two. They're trying to find out what happened. Even though they haven't found any evidence about where the boy may be, police say they've gotten more than 125 tips from the public. They're following every lead, hoping the next one will bring them to the missing boy. And police who plan to be out here throughout the evening, through the night, and into tomorrow tell me that they hope more people can come forward. Any kind of information about where this boy may be, where they may have seen Ruben Ebron, anything that could lead police to finding out where this little boy is, or just really any details about why he disappeared. They want you to call either 911 or the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office at 630-0500. The community really appreciates all the police officers and all their hard work. We have seen that because so many people have dropped by food and water all throughout the day. Reporting live on the South Side, I'm Vic Michelucci, Channel 4, the local station.
Thank you, Vic. Now, we heard from Ruben Ebron's father. Now we're also hearing from the family of Lonzie's father, Chris Barton. Simply put, they're heartbroken and hoping and praying for a positive outcome. Channel 4's Ashley Mitchum joins us now. And Ashley, I understand earlier today you were in McClenny speaking with the Barton family about their desperate search for Lonzie.
That's right, Mary. So devastated. Most of Lonzie's relatives live in Baker County, and although they're far from the search area here in Jacksonville, relatives are hoping and praying from a distance, trusting The Jacksonville Sheriff's Office will get a break in the case and find their beloved Lonzy.
I'm hoping someone has him and they're just waiting for the right moment to just bring him back to his mom and dad. And I cannot wait to see his smiling face again. That's all I think about is him just smiling and just coming to us happy.
Holding on to hope, Kayla Barton, Lonzy's half-sister, is staying positive and pleading for answers to the question of where her little brother is.
I would plead to just please, please, please let us know where he is. He needs to be back home. We're heartbroken and we just miss him so much. If you just would please just open up and just let us know where he is. We just want him back home.
Kayla is hurting like her father, but thankful for the support.
I want to plead at whoever knows Reuben, if they would please just get into his heart and make him realize what everybody else is going through. And I want to thank every officer out there, every support that y'all have given, the prayers, the beautiful comments, the officers that are working their hearts out, leaving their family every day and night to look for my baby brother. I want to thank y'all for everything you do, everything. And God bless you. Y'all are a blessing to our family.
He was just a happy baby. He liked to run and play and smiled a lot. And I just loved him.
She didn't want to show her face, but I also spoke to Lonzy's great aunt about the search for Lonzy.
We just want to find him so he can get some closure, and even if he's not alive. And we miss him and we love him. And we're thankful for everything that the community's doing and the police officers and the news and, you know, everybody involved. And we're just asking that keep praying for the family.
You can obviously hear there in her voice, she was really upset, crying the whole time, and she just didn't want to be on camera because of that. Now, this weekend, there is a vigil in Jacksonville for Lonzy, but in Baker County, there's also going to be a vigil. It's in McClenny, and that candlelight vigil for Lonzy is Wednesday in McClenny at 7 p.m. That's at Duck Pond Park. All family, friends, and members of the community are welcome to come. Tom, Mary.
Thank you, Ashley. Still to come in our coverage of day 4 of the search for Lonzy Barton.
Search and recovery teams are using different tools in their search for the child. Jennifer Waugh gives us a preview.
I'm Jennifer Waugh. This map shows what police are up against trying to find Lonzy Barton. A closer look at where specifically they're focusing and the technique they use to search such a large area.
And then there's the water they have to contend with. We're giving you a look at the search below the surface as our coverage continues ahead.
Now, Lonzy Barton's mother, Lana Barton, has not been seen publicly since her son was reported missing early last Friday morning. Police have said all along she is not in any way a suspect in his disappearance. The Southside bar where she works, Wacko's, is raising money for her and for her 5-year-old daughter. Her co-workers describe her as happy, bubbly, considerate, and responsible. With Reuben Ebron in jail, Barton's son still nowhere to be found, co-workers and the management at Wacko's decided to do what they could to help her. The Gentlemen's Club promises to match every donation from a customer or an employee.
It gives us a sense of a little bit of ease, you know, that we can do something, because it's difficult sitting at home, knowing what's going on and just feeling helpless, like there's nothing you can do.
The Department of Children and Families tells News4 Jax the agency is involved in this case and is working to determine what is best for Lana Barton's 5-year-old daughter. DCF says they know this is a difficult time for the family and they want to be respectful, keeping in mind that this little girl could have lost her little brother.
The search for Lonzy Barton reminds us of the 5 other unsolved Amber Alerts in Florida. In some of those cases, those alerts have been active for years. Take a look. Jarkeus Adside was reported missing at the age of 1 from Miami. That was 14 years ago. The oldest alert still active is Zachary Bernhardt. He was last seen sleeping in his bed inside of his Clearwater home back in 2000. Here in our area, Haley Cummings. She disappeared in February of 2009 in the middle of the night from her Putnam County home. Her 12th birthday is next month. In Central Florida, Trenton Duckett vanished from Leesburg in 2006. Now Trenton would be almost 11. And Brian DeSantos Gomez was just a baby when he was reported missing from Fort Myers in December of 2006. Today, Brian would be close to 9 years old.
To say the search for Lonzie Barton is painstaking is to put it mildly. Officers looking through everything from dumpsters to woods, and then there's the water part of the search. Joy is joining us now with a look at what police divers are dealing with. Joy.
Tom, search and recovery efforts, they've been wide-ranging. Investigators have been focusing on a portion of land between Phillips Highway and I-95 and 295. Our Heather Lee gives us a unique perspective of what divers are seeing when they go into the water.
Divers have been in ponds similar to this one throughout the Southside area, and we wanted to see exactly what it was like for them down here when they're under these murky waters. So we got a GoPro and we decided to bring it out just to see exactly what it looks like.
Now, we were only able to put the camera a few inches under the surface of the water where, as you can see, we found a lot of algae and sludge. For divers going much deeper, you can only imagine how hard it must be just to see what's in front of them. If you have any information that could help investigators find Lonzie, please call Crime Stoppers anonymously. That number, 1-866-845-TIPS. Mary?
Thank you, Joy. Well, not only is the Sheriff's Office up against the clock in their search for Lonzie Barton and the terrain, but they're dealing with another issue, the terrain. Jen Waugh takes a look at what detectives contend with in their search.
Now, we know that police use surveillance cameras, DOT cameras along highways here along the south side to pinpoint Reuben Ebron's movements between last Thursday after 8 o'clock and early Friday morning. Now, they've been focusing, police have, specifically on this area. It's a Southern Oaks. It's a mobile home park where Ebron used to live. So I want to give you some perspective here. So this is the Avenues Mall up here. So Town Center is here, and this is kind of the 9A 295. And right here, do you see 295 and Phillips Highway? Again, this is the Avenues, and this is the beltway that leads to Orange Park. It's this retention pond that they are really focusing on here. And you can see how much water there is. In fact, you remember Chief Hackney has said all through the weekend, and in fact, as early as today, he said, if there's a puddle, we're definitely in it. And you can see they have a lot of water that they have to search. Now, I want to show you something else that's been a real struggle for them. This is kind of blown out and showing you Google Earth, okay? So we've added in now, here's the water that I was showing you before. Look at all of this wooded area. I mean, this is the area here, so you really have a good sense of what they're up against, law enforcement, as they're now having to search, and they're doing this systematically. We talked to our crime and safety expert earlier today. So what they basically do is they take this area here and they put a grid over it. And this grid is divided into small squares. And so what they do is they name them. So for example here, so they'll number those grids, and they literally send searchers into that one grid, and when they finish that grid, they check it off. They move on to the next one, because if you think about it, it would be very easy to get turned around here if you're a searcher and you're maybe with some canines or some cadaver dogs, and they don't want to have to, obviously they don't want to waste their time by searching the same area twice. If there's a particular area where they just can't get through, maybe it's marshy, then they mark that as an area that they couldn't search, and they'll go back and do it again. That's really what the grid search is. So we certainly hope to learn more about how well they've been able to get through this, particularly over the last 24, 48 hours. But the good news certainly is they now have Texas EcuSearch, which is helping. They have a ton of experience in searching wooded areas and even water as well. They started helping, in fact, today. And then, of course, they've had more agencies, more law enforcement join this search. And again, the major goal here is to get this done, to do it as quickly as possible, and to bring this little boy home. Jennifer Waugh, Channel 4, the local station.
Thank you, Jen. Our coverage continues. When you're away from your TV, be sure to head to our website, news4jax.com. Up right now, we have complete up-to-date coverage of the search for Lonzie Barton, including images and a timeline of the search. A printable Amber Alert flyer there is on inside our top story for you as well. Plus the unedited interview that Jim Piggott did with Reuben Ebron's father. It's all there right now on the homepage.
Most of this afternoon's storms came and went early.
But the Weather Authority is still tracking some storms to our west, and John's forecast is coming up next.
Tracking severe weather right down to the neighborhood where you live. Channel 4 is the Weather Authority.
So I was driving up I-95 earlier around 1 o'clock, and you could see this big wall of rain ahead of me, and sure enough, by the time I got to the downtown, it was teeming big. But now it's pretty much faded away there. It's been moving westbound, and as we go out towards the west side, and you can see again, there's 295, the west side looking dry. Argyle Forest had a pretty good downpour. From a rain shower that continues to move on off towards Oakleaf, and will probably continue to move even further out to the west. There's Oakleaf. You can see all the way out there towards Long Branch Cemetery Road. Pretty good downpour here in northern parts of Clay County. The other one that just recently developed is right out here towards Cecil, it says Cecil Naval Air. What do you know? I'll have to change that. Cecil Commerce Center. And again, the runways are right here, and you can see the downpours just out there to the west. Again, there's Normandy. This will cross right over Normandy and continue to move on out towards Baker County. That's going to happen probably within the next 30, 40 minutes. Track that for you real quick, and I'll illustrate how far it'll head on out to the west. So if you live anywhere in the path of this little rainmaker, you could possibly get wet, and that would include all the way out there along 301. And again, down to the south, this area of shower activity. And these are not thunderstorms, they're just downpours. And again, Middleburg, you're just going to get clipped. Looks like it's going to be right there along Blanding. So if you live north of Middleburg, you'll probably get a pretty good downpour there as well. And again, just tracking this one back out to the west. I don't know if it's going to get all the way to Lottie, but it probably get pretty darn close to it before it begins to weaken. And that'll happen by about 7:13. So again, 301 west of town. That's where the action is. In terms of the big picture right now in Jacksonville and parts of Georgia, the answer is not much else is going on along the coast. The next big storm is right out there and through parts of Union County, and this one here is really nasty. It's had quite a bit of lightning. It's about as much lightning I've seen all day with any of these storms, and this particular one will continue to drift on off towards the west, and again is associated with a large area of low pressure that's up above us. And again, Fort White by about 7 o'clock, and just across 75 by about 6:45. It just blew up as it passed right over Lake Butler. Point being, it's not going to be in Jacksonville. We'll see some ugly looking clouds, but we will not see any more rain in the immediate downtown to the beaches. 90 degrees today's high temperature. By the way, we had 2 days back to back. The coolest 2 days since June the 5th back to back, as we had temperatures only in the 80s both yesterday and Saturday. 83 currently at the airport, 86 over Jacksonville Beach. Evening forecast, again, skies will be a little bit bluer back out towards the beaches, but inland storms, they will fade by 10 o'clock, partly cloudy skies thereafter. The big picture, what gives? See this little yellow line? This is a troublemaker. It is illustrated by the forecast models that it could produce some very heavy rains for us, but that probably doesn't happen until the end of the work week. Until then, the little swirl in the upper atmosphere will continue to roll off the coast, and as it does so, it will bring us a patch of dry air tomorrow, but not so much as we go towards the end of the work week as the rain chances build up each and every day. Tom, Mary, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, the big days for rain.
Thank you, John.
As we've been telling you, this is day 4 in the search for Lonzie Barton, and our coverage continues.
We will recap what we know after the break.
If you're just joining us, we want to give you a recap of what's happened on the 4th day of searching for Lonzie Barton.
The Sheriff's Office tells us so far they've received 125 tips, including some that have come in from across the country. 16 agencies are assisting in the search, including the FBI and law enforcement from as far away as Miami. As of this evening, about 200 investigators are searching for the little boy. Our Jim Piggott spoke to the father of the man police call a suspect, Reuben Ebron, who says his son is not the monster he is being portrayed to be.
Stay with us. There's more to come.
News 4 Jax continues with Rob and Joy right after the break.